If the outcome of the elections is disputed, it might drive the country into turmoil. To help us unpack the story is Stephanie Walters from the Institute of Security Studies, who joins us now via Skype. Stephanie, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. It's not good news at all for us to hear that the provisional results might be delayed in Congo.
No, it isn't. It isn't a good idea at all for the CNE to take longer than it has announced that it would. It's also important to note that in the DRC there's currently a complete shutdown of the internet, and some of the key international radio stations are no longer allowed to transmit by FM. And this, of course, contributes to the heightening of tensions as we wait for the provisional results to be released.
And when you look at the provisional results that everybody is waiting for, should they be disputed, there's likely going to be turmoil there. Is this something that the DRC can afford?
No, the DRC cannot afford any further instability. It's been in a heightened state of instability for the last 3 years, and in particular since 2016, which was the end of Joseph Kabila's second mandate. So certainly a contested election, which I do anticipate we will see, will only worsen that situation, and that will be very bad for the DRC's short and medium-term future.
And is it not a violation, especially when there's now the internet is being shut down and government is arguing that this is because there's people that are spreading fake news? But is it not really a concern about the democracy and the democratic process that the elections are said to have unfolded in?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's very much a measure of the current Kabila government's commitment to democracy. The initial delays of 2 years, the fact that Kabila waited until August this year to confirm that he wouldn't stand for a third mandate, the conditions in which this election have taken place, the arrest of civil society activists, opposition politicians, the exclusion of some very significant opposition leaders, unequal access to the media. There's really been nothing about this particular electoral campaign that has reflected real commitment to democracy. And
there was also concerns around the process that they were using, that particular voting process, and the fact that it is quite open to vote rigging. Is that an area that you see as of concern? Because as we wait for these results, do you think that they'll be contested there?
Look, the introduction of electronic voting machines was highly controversial. It's also not something that is legal in the context of the Congolese electoral law. And there were a number of different concerns. There were concerns that it could be used to hijack the results and therefore to be used for rigging. There were concerns about the logistics because these things rely on electricity, which is in short supply in the DRC. And there was concerns that voters would be unfamiliar with the technology. Now, some of the domestic observer missions have certainly signaled that there were everything from technical problems to lack of familiarity with the voting machines, and they were certainly one of the elements of the irregularities, also that were noted by the African Union mission and by the SADC observer mission, both of whom published their preliminary reports yesterday.
And how do we then continue to want to then release preliminary results when there are these kind of problems?
Well, I think that while it's important to go through the process and make an assessment of what went well and what didn't go well, at this point, nobody is saying, none of the observer missions, domestic or international, are saying that the vote itself is not credible, that the actual result does not reflect the vote of the people. In fact, all of the observer missions have continued to emphasize that the outcome must reflect the will of the Congolese people. So I think it is a little bit too early to say that the outcome will inevitably be a rigged one. We'll have to just wait and see what the Electoral Commission announces when it finally does announce the outcome.
And looking at the fact that, there are some people that are concerned that the outgoing president will still have some kind of power from the sidelines or behind the scenes, if I may, do you think those concerns are validated?
Absolutely. Joseph Kabila chose someone to succeed him as the candidate for his party who has no political platform of his own and very little experience in government. He was Minister of the Interior for about 18 months. But this is somebody who is very much under the control of Kabila and his family. He's also under EU sanctions for his role in the killing of civilians during political protests. So this is somebody who doesn't have a lot of room for maneuver on his own.
And, of course, Kabila not ruling out the possibility of contesting in the future, making a comeback. That surely can't be good for the DRC.
I think it isn't. I certainly don't think it is. I think that what we've seen again and again over the last 3 years is that people are not happy with the status quo in the Congo. They're not happy with the last two mandates that Kabila has had, where they elected him in 2006 and 2011. They want him to go. They want his elite to go. They want change and they want new leadership. And I think they very much need that and deserve that. Economic development in the DRC has gone nowhere in the last 2 decades, and it's really time to focus on that and to leave the political squabbles behind.
We can certainly hope that the situation does improve in the DRC. Thank you so much for putting us in the picture there. That was Stephanie Walters from the Institute of Security Studies. So we'll